a couple's nightmare after accepting shelter from a mysterious family in the middle of nowhere. The film begins by showing Matt and Rachel, a married couple on a vacation trip to celebrate Rachel's late-term pregnancy as they prepare to welcome their first child. While enjoying the drive, Rachel shares a story about how her family members have always given birth to boys as their first child, and with great confidence, she believes the baby she is carrying must be a boy, even though they have not confirmed it yet. Their trip suddenly comes to a halt when the road ahead is blocked for no clear reason, and they are instructed to take an alternate route.
God, he's a boy.
With limited options, they have no choice but to turn right as directed. Even though Google Maps does not recommend taking that road, they decide to continue through it. Unexpectedly, and for reasons unclear, the car Matt is driving suddenly swerves, causing a minor accident.
Matt, look out! You weren't going that fast.
Fortunately, both Rachel and the baby she is carrying are completely fine without any serious injuries. Despite the minor crash, the accident leaves Matt's car unable to start. At first, Matt tries calling for help, but he realizes his phone has no signal at all. He even climbs a tall tree hoping to get a signal, but it's useless. His phone still shows no reception. From the top of the tree, Matt spots a farm about half a mile from their location. Without wasting any time, the two of them walk toward the farm to seek help. On the way, a man named Bob appears and tells them that the area is private property, even insisting that Matt and Rachel leave immediately. However, once Matt explains Rachel's pregnancy, Bob changes his attitude. Bob asks about the baby's gender, and Rachel confidently replies that the baby is a boy. Hearing this, Bob quickly contacts his wife through a walkie-talkie, informing her that they have visitors, Matt and his wife Rachel, who are expecting a baby boy. Rachel finds Bob's behavior strange. At first, he forbids them from being there, but the moment he hears she is pregnant with a boy, his attitude shifts completely. Initially, Matt only wants to borrow Bob's phone to call for help, but Bob claims the cellular network is down due to a storm hitting the area. The network is being repaired, so they'll have to wait 1 or 2 days until it's back to normal. Besides borrowing a phone, they also hope Bob can help them get a taxi or some form of transportation, but again, Bob insists that there are no taxis or transport services because the area is remote. Bob kindly invites them to stay at his house until the signal is restored. With no other options and night approaching, Matt and Rachel agree to stay at Bob's house for just one night. Hearing this, Bob immediately leads them toward his home. On the way, Rachel briefly notices a woman dressed in black standing behind the trees. Shortly after, Matt and Rachel arrive at Bob's house. They are warmly welcomed by Bob's wife, Agnes, and their 2 sons, David and Luke. Agnes appears cheerful and genuinely happy to see them, which makes Matt and Rachel feel comfortable and appreciated. The guest room prepared for them is cozy, making them feel almost at home. With evening approaching, Agnes is about to start preparing dinner for everyone. She tells them that once the meal is ready, she will call them to eat together with the family. After she leaves, the couple finds her friendliness a bit unusual, considering they've only just met her.
To the countryside, not the 1950s.
The 2 sons look a bit...
When Rachel looks out the window, she is startled to see the woman in black again. Matt rushes over to look, but the mysterious woman vanishes without a trace. Soon, night falls, and dinner is served. Agnes invites Matt and Rachel to join them, as the whole family is already seated and ready to eat. Before they begin, Bob leads a prayer to bless the meal.
Please?
Precious gift of all.
Amen.
During dinner, they chat casually, and Rachel notices a photo that looks like the same woman she saw earlier. Curious, she asks who the woman is. Agnes explains that it is her daughter, Faith. Rachel then asks why Faith isn't joining them for dinner. Agnes tells her that Faith is their adopted daughter, who suffers from mental impairment after being sexually assaulted by her biological parents. The trauma left Faith mute and extremely shy, often uncomfortable around strangers. Agnes continues, revealing that David and Luke are also adopted. She explains that she and Bob chose adoption because she has uterine problems that prevent her from conceiving children.
David and Luke are adopted too. Just look at my beautiful boys. And we need from out there, is there, Bob?
After dinner, Matt and Rachel return to their room. Matt checks his phone again, hoping to find a signal, but still there's none. Rachel begins to sense something is off about Bob's family and tells Matt that they should leave the next morning. Suddenly, they hear a noise outside the door, as if someone is eavesdropping on them.
We're just gonna have to sweat it out till morning.
Since it's late, they decide to sleep. That night, Rachel dreams of Faith crying over her parents' deaths. In the dream, Faith speaks and reveals that Faith is not her real name. Her true name is Ellie Adam, a girl who went missing years ago along with her family and whose name once appeared in a newspaper's missing persons notice.
Ellie Adams.
What?
Rachel wakes up terrified, convinced that the dream is a sign pointing to the terrible crime committed by Bob's family that led to Ellie's parents' deaths. In panic, Rachel forces Matt to leave immediately. Seeing the house quiet, they search for keys to unlock the door. But as soon as they step out, they are confronted by David and Luke, who are armed. Moments later, Bob and Agnes appear behind them, blocking any escape. The panic causes Rachel's water to break. Without hesitation, they knock Matt and Rachel unconscious. David and Luke drag Matt's body away, planning to lock him inside a coffin and bury him alive.
What does it look like I'm doing?
Meanwhile, Rachel is restrained with one of her hands chained tightly. Soon she goes into labor and Agnes takes charge of delivering the baby. Moments later, Rachel gives birth, but Agnes becomes furious when she sees that the baby is a girl. Rachel had told her earlier that it would be a boy. After the birth, Rachel is dragged into a barn and chained by the neck. Agnes then takes Rachel's breast milk to feed the baby. Once they leave, Rachel desperately struggles to find a way to break free from her chains. Unable to do anything, Rachel feels resigned to her fate. Suddenly, Faith appears carrying food and water for her. Starving, Rachel quickly devours the meal. She is grateful for Faith's kindness, but then realizes the woman's real name is Ellie. Rachel asks if Ellie remembers what happened to her parents, because from her dream, she believes Bob's family was responsible for their deaths. Ellie remains completely silent, likely still traumatized by her past. Rachel begs Ellie to help her escape, but instead, Ellie simply walks away. Meanwhile, Matt regains consciousness inside the coffin, confused by the darkness surrounding him. He finds only a lighter, which he uses for light. He finally realizes he has been buried alive. Refusing to die helplessly, Matt desperately searches for any weakness in the coffin. After a long struggle, he finds a small opening he can use to escape. Fortunately, David and Luke didn't bury him very deep, allowing Matt to push through the soil and climb out. He runs aimlessly in hopes of finding help, but all he sees is wilderness, dense forest, or wide-open fields with no signs of human life. Eventually, dehydrated and exhausted, he reaches a river where he also finds a piece of cloth to cover himself. After a long and painful journey, Matt stumbles upon two men named Jason and Stu who appear to be camping. Matt begs them to help save his wife and newborn daughter being held captive at Bob's home, and also asks to borrow their phone to call the police. Seeing Matt naked, Jason and Stu burst into laughter, assuming he is hallucinating from drugs. Even after Matt explains everything in detail, they still think it's nonsense. Frustrated, Matt attacks them, leaving both men incapacitated. He ties them up and takes all their supplies, including Jason's clothes. But when he checks their phones, there is still no signal. Afraid something terrible will happen to his family, Matt quickly prepares to leave. Before he goes, he apologizes for stealing their belongings and leaves them a knife to free themselves. Back at Bob's property, David and Luke attempt to assault Rachel while she is chained. Thankfully, Matt arrives just in time and kills both of them. Hearing the commotion from the barn, Bob rushes there with a gun. Matt has already freed Rachel from her chains, but when Bob arrives armed, Matt sacrifices himself to protect her. He becomes the target of Bob's gunfire, giving his life to save Rachel. Rachel is frozen in shock, unable to move or react. Although Matt had told her to run before he died, she stands paralyzed, witnessing his death right before her eyes. Rachel is then knocked unconscious and locked up again in the barn. The tragic deaths of David and Luke leave Agnes devastated. At first, she refuses to bury them because of her overwhelming grief, but Bob convinces her that they must let the boys go. As painful as it is, their sons are gone and will never return. With heavy hearts, Bob and Agnes bury David and Luke. Still overwhelmed by sorrow, Agnes refuses to go home and stays by their graves. Bob urges her to come back because he must take care of Rachel's baby girl, but Agnes tells him to do it himself. She refuses to care for a baby girl.
It's time to go. I need to get back to the baby. Make you a cup of tea.
I want to be.
Rachel slowly regains consciousness after fainting and sees Ellie beside her, also chained up just like she is. Despite her condition, Ellie hasn't given up. She has a plan to free them both by scraping away the cement between the bricks to loosen the chains. After a long struggle, they finally manage to break free. Fortunately, they find a chain cutter nearby and use it to remove the metal restraints from their necks. Once completely free, Rachel and Ellie sneak back into Bob's house to find Rachel's baby. After successfully locating the infant, they spot Bob returning home from the burial. Rachel and Ellie hide quietly inside a closet, praying Bob won't notice them. When Bob hears the baby crying, he takes out equipment to pump Rachel's breast milk. But when he heads toward the barn to get it, Rachel is already gone. Realizing something is wrong, Bob grabs a gun and searches for her. Eventually, he finds Rachel holding her baby. She tells him she only wanted to nurse her daughter, and Bob doesn't object, but warns her that if Agnes sees her with the baby, she'll be furious. Taking advantage of Bob's distraction, Rachel stabs him with a knife, killing him instantly. Meanwhile, Ellie keeps the baby safe. After Bob's death, Rachel grabs his phone and calls the police, begging them to come quickly. However, Agnes, who has just returned from the graveyard, overhears Rachel talking to the police. Furious, she grabs a gun and waits outside for Rachel. From a distance, Rachel spots Agnes and decides to fight back using Bob's gun she found inside. Rachel tells Ellie to protect her baby and, if she doesn't survive, to take the child and run as far away as possible. A fierce gunfight breaks out between Rachel and Agnes. Agnes manages to shoot Rachel several times while Rachel's shots miss their target due to her poor aim. When both run out of bullets, they engage in a brutal hand-to-hand fight. In the end, Rachel overpowers Agnes, knocking her unconscious. Holding hands tightly, Rachel and Ellie leave the house together. Moments later, the police arrive. Rachel tells them everything that happened, including the truth about Ellie Adam, a girl who had gone missing years ago and whose name once appeared in the newspapers. But when the police ask where Ellie Adam is, Rachel turns beside her, only to realize Ellie has vanished. It's then revealed that Ellie Adam, also known as Faith, was already dead, and one of the 3 graves seen earlier belongs to her. It becomes clear that Agnes had tortured Faith, likely out of her hatred for girls. Rachel realizes that the entire time she had been seeing Ellie's spirit, an apparition guiding her, but everything Rachel did she actually accomplished on her own. Suddenly, Agnes reappears, still alive, pointing a gun at Rachel. Before she can fire, the police act swiftly and shoot Agnes, killing her instantly. Rachel and her baby are rushed to the hospital for medical treatment, and with that, the story comes to an end.